I'd love to hear a little bit more about the creative process that you follow now uh, to decide to pick an idea to work on, and how does it go from selecting from multiple ideas to sort of making something real and putting it out in the world?
It's a really, I mean, it's a that's a great question because there's no one specific answer. And I think I have to let's just focus on our, we do a lot of branded work and commercial stuff. So I'll put that in a separate category and digital content stuff separately. And if I focus, I mean, to answer that question, let's look at film and television.
Mhm.
Um, and I wish I was reading for fun, but I don't think I read for pure fun anymore, because I feel like when I'm reading a book, I'm immediately thinking of optioning it, or like, how do I get the rights to this story? And so um, there are a couple of books right now that, you know, so this is actually really funny. This is a funny example. And who knows if I'll even get the rights to it, but I'll throw it out there as like good vibes. So in a family friends WhatsApp chat, okay, where, it's a lot of Indian uncles and aunties, and they're like being incredible, it's just filled with puns and like sometimes a lot of nonsense. I'm not really paying attention. But one day I happened to look at a link that was posted. This is a couple of weeks ago. And it was an article to a story about, a book that's coming out by an Indian writer based in the UK. And it's called The Mystery of the Parsi Lawyer. And I was like, what is this? And it is a true, and the author is a woman called Shrabani Basu, who wrote a book called Victoria and Abdul that became a film. And then her book on Noor Inayat Khan, an Indian spy princess, is now being made into a television series with Frida Pinto starring. And so this is one of her latest books, and it is a true story of a Parsi man. I'm giving you the shortened version of the story. A young Parsi man who ended up going to jail for 18 years for a crime he did not commit. This is set about, 80 years ago or so. And while he was in jail for 18 years, he started reading Sherlock Holmes. And when he got out of jail, and he was like, the only person who is going to clear my name is Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes himself. So I'm going to write to him to tell him that he needs to help me. And so this is a true story, and they forged this really random friendship at a time where like Britain was still, colonizing India. So it's an interesting time with, relationships between the countries. And they essentially cleared this Parsi man of his name. So now I found out of this story in a WhatsApp chat with my family friends. And immediately I was like, this has to be a film. And then one of the uncles in the group was like, oh, that's Uncle Faiz's sister, who is the editor at Bloomsbury of that book. So I'll just email her and say you're interested. And I was like, okay. And in the meantime, I had already had my UK scouts starting to do the work with the finding out the agents. But I was like, I'm going to go through the family friend, because we got to do it this way. And, a lot of times when you're starting a business, like, who do you call? Your family and your friends. And in the same way, with sometimes how stories find you and you find them, you just kind of let this go. And so I then got connected to the author, and now I'm in touch with her agent. And I read the book, and it is incredible. And I am now, this next week, going to start a bidding war to option the book. So that is, but on something like that, our company is only a few years old. We're not a financing company. So I've reached out to two partners who will be working with me on it as we start to like figure out how to develop it into this incredible film, with these characters and these relationships and these friendships we haven't seen. And that's exciting to me. So that's like a recent example.
That sounds incredible, though. Now I want to watch it.
See, that actually becomes our gauge, especially for film and TV, is like when you're reading something and you know you want to watch that thing.
Yeah.
And you're reading an article and it's absurd and exciting. Like, you know, we have a doc series that we've been developing with a rapper and an educator based in New York. Her name is Erica Buddington, and she started this Instagram series called Decolonize, which is essentially about untold Black history. And she's got this really incredible way of, you know, how she wants to develop it. You know, for example, did you know the fact that most of the man-made lakes in the US are actually built over Black towns? Probably didn't, right? Or the fact that most of the beaches in Jamaica are private. So it's like, you know, so things that have this like I didn't know factor are of real interest to me personally. And you know, there's stories that like I'm generating or I'm writing, or people are sending us if they have a sense of our previous work and our, you know, of course, being on this committee under the Obama administration had a pretty big influence on me, where it was like, but they were like, you guys are making things that people are watching and paying attention to. And we believe that the way that real change can happen in the world is based on what we put out in our media and entertainment. And it's obviously no surprise that the Obamas now have their own production company. Now Hillary Clinton has her own production company with her daughter and Sam Branson. I mean, you know, really kind of getting, you know, social justice stories, you know, things around the environment, climate, women and girls' rights, immigration, you know, like seeking out justice, you know, talking about human rights. Like you can really figure out how to more responsibly make film, TV, or even content and focus on impact. And I would say that's a pretty big thing for us. So even like when we work with Nike or when we worked with Unilever, there's a real, you know, look, yes, I directed a Michael Kors campaign with Bella Hadid, and that is not changing the world and probably selling more handbags than, you know, but what does my crew look like? How do I, you know, like they tend to be a lot of people of color or women of color, you know, it's just like making sure that there's an inclusion and just making sure that even not just what's on screen, but also the process of how we make things has a certain responsibility and accountability.